My name is Dr. Vicki Estwick. I am a medical practitioner and a special populations trainer. And I decided to do this because I noticed that as a general practitioner, my patients didn't know how to exercise. We always tell you how much to exercise and when you should exercise, but most people tend not to know what they can do, especially if they have chronic diseases or any past injuries. So I decided to go and learn to be able to come back and help my clients, as well as to share information with my colleagues so that we can promote exercise better in Barbados. I decided to study medicine because, I don't know, as with a lot of people, I've just always wanted to be a doctor. I had a lot of books as a child, but my favorite books tended to be the human body books. And as I got older, I got more detailed books until I ended up at a textbook in university. It's always been fascinating to see how the body works, especially the muscles, bones, and joints. And I've always wanted to go into a field that involved what we call the musculoskeletal part of the body. So the first choice was orthopedics, and then it was rehabilitation. But then, as I said, working with people, I just realized people weren't getting the exercise that they needed, not because they didn't want to or that they didn't know that exercise was good for them. It's just, especially with the chronic diseases and different social and psychological limitations, they just didn't know what to do. So that's why I decided to go and find out what they should do so that we can get exercise going, not only in the youth, but also in people in their middle age and older. I was a general practitioner in a polyclinic system for about 4 years. And in speaking to my patients and advising them on the 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week, I realized that many people didn't know what to do for that amount of time and how they can do it. There were things like knee arthritis that would stop them from walking, or persons were afraid of the sea so they couldn't go swimming. And they didn't know how to tell if exercise was light, moderate, or vigorous. So there was a lot of holes in the information where it came to exercise and patients, especially with chronic disease. I actually had one person who was not consistent, not because he didn't want to be, but he was actually doing too much as he had heart disease and was getting tired and frustrated. So I was able to tell him what his heart rate should be, and he ended up being more consistent with his exercise. I think that was really the pivotal point where I decided, okay, I need to get this information so that I can inform my clients and so that my colleagues can inform their patients on how they can do more exercise, the right exercise for their conditions, and to keep consistent with it. Yeah. In polyclinic, you tend to see everyone that may have come from the hospital, that may have come from home, that may have come from a private practitioner. So you see a wide range of things. You see heart disease, like heart failure and past heart attacks, persons who've had strokes, amputees, peripheral neuropathy from diabetes. And these chronic diseases actually became quite uncontrolled during the pandemic due to people being afraid of coming to the doctor, being afraid of coming for their medication, not getting followed up as everyone was basically concentrating on COVID. So in seeing that, seeing more people with these types of conditions and exercise being actually one of the more cost-effective forms of management, I found it not to be great that part of it was missing from our healthcare system, because we have our dietitians to speak in depth about our diet, and then we have the doctors to consult and medicate. But I do believe that with this information, we can add that third vital point in the stages of treatment for our chronic diseases. Now, the information that the doctor would give you wouldn't necessarily be an actual training plan. They would just advise you on the types of exercises that maybe you should and should not do as someone with chronic disease. For example, when your doctor tells you about the amount of exercise that you should do per week, the doctor might tell you, well, because you have high blood pressure, you shouldn't lift things too heavy overhead, or you shouldn't try to go for the coveted 1 rep max, where we try to see how heavy you can lift something once. Because something like that causes you to bear down, it causes the pressure to increase in the body. So like that, the doctor would just give you advice and things that you can do, like more cardio or focusing on certain parts of the body to help you with your specific condition rather than an actual training program. Exercising at home doesn't have to be fancy or vigorous. I know that we tend to see a lot of fancy stuff being done on social media and YouTube and the lot, but those people have been exercising for years, and a lot of them just do that, as we say, for the gram. So that's not something that we want you to do at home. Something as simple as going for a walk around your house for 10 minutes. During every commercial, you can sit and stand as the commercial runs until the show you're watching comes back. We can do things with your arms like this. If you sit and do this for 10 minutes, you'll realize how tired you can get. And even things like dancing, putting on your favorite music for half an hour, you won't even realize when the half an hour has passed. So it doesn't have to be lifting heavy weights. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, as I said. We just want you to move. Movement is the aim that we're going for, and preventing that prolonged sitting.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ingrid Burrows, and I'm going to give you some tips on managing your hypertension. The first thing you should do is to decrease your salt intake. You should keep your salt intake to less than 1 gram a day. This is equivalent to about 1 teaspoon of salt every day. Another thing you should do is to ensure that you're getting enough physical activity. You should aim for 150 minutes of aerobic exercise every week of moderate intensity. For example, brisk walking, light jogging, swimming, or running. This equates to half an hour of exercise 5 days a week. You also want to increase your intake of fresh fruits and vegetables. It is advised that you eat 5 servings of fruit and vegetable every day. And the last thing you can do is monitor your blood pressure at home with a digital machine. This is very important as some patients have elevated blood pressures while in the doctor's office while having normal blood pressures at home. This is called white coat hypertension. Also, if you're taking medication for your hypertension and you notice any changes in your blood pressure, you can call your doctor and he or she can adjust your medications to suit. If your readings are too high or too low, you can inform your doctor and he or she can adjust your medications appropriately. I hope these tips have been helpful.
The Barbados Police Service is a dynamic organization which caters to the needs of all residents by providing excellent customer service within our communities. We are excited to inform you that we are recruiting new members to our ranks and welcome your participation.
We are building the Barbados Police Service within our communities. Are you smart, skillful, motivated, ambitious, reliable, and talented?
Smart to fulfill your life's dream.
Smart to chart career opportunities.
Smart to make a difference.
Smart to pursue economic sustainability.
Smart to enable change.
Smart to provide public service.
I say to you today, if you have a love for people, if you enjoy nurturing your communities and taking care of persons, then definitely the Barbados Police Service, of which I am a proud member, is the place for you. So I encourage you, lend us a hand, join us now to help keep Barbados safe.
Come join us, join me in making our country a safer Barbados.
Your place is here in the Barbados Police Service.
Come, join our ranks and chart a career of economic sustainability. Make that difference as an agent of change while providing public service as you fulfill your life's dream.
Barbadians, we invite you to get involved and play your part as we clean and green Barbados. Come into your community with media launches, bulk waste collection exercises, community engagement sessions, and giveaways. Get on board. Let's keep Barbados clean and green.
Beautiful, beautiful Barbados.
When does a mental health issue become a problem? When should you reach out for help? I'm Krisnan Hurdle, clinical psychologist and certified life coach. Mental health issues interrupt a person's daily functions. An issue becomes a disorder when a person isn't able to carry out their everyday activities like household duties, personal upkeep and hygiene, or interferes with their ability to function socially, to interact with others inside the household, or interferes with their ability to function on the job or carry out other activities. If a person finds themselves needing to self-isolate, losing touch with reality, or having an impaired ability to think, reason, or function, and if this occurs over a period of days, weeks, or months, then it is time that they reach out for help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adana Grandison, and I'm here to give you a few tips on how to accurately and safely take your blood pressure readings at home. Before taking your measurement, sit in a calm, warm environment. Don't perform any exercise in the preceding 1 hour. No coffee, food, smoking, or even sinus medication in the preceding hour to taking that blood pressure reading. Empty your bladder and bowel. Most readings that are taken at home should be below or at 135 on 85 millimeters of mercury for uncomplicated hypertension. Lower home blood pressure targets might be advisable in persons who have the following conditions: diabetes, chronic renal disease, or coronary heart disease. If several readings are above 140 on 90 millimeters of mercury, make an appointment with your physician immediately. Ensure to take your readings at the same time every day. We advise 2 readings in the morning and 2 readings in the evening initially to profile yourself, taken 1 to 2 minutes apart. However, once you have established a baseline, you can choose a time suitable to your schedule where you can monitor your blood pressure readings.
The American Heart Association, as well as other healthcare associations around the world, have agreed that 150 to 300 minutes of exercise per week is the amount of exercise that we would need to produce significant health results, such as preventing chronic diseases, not only hypertension, diabetes, and high cholesterol, but also things like cancer can be prevented, or at least the risk lowered by exercise. So if you exercise, you can have a lower risk of breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate, and other cancers as well. So this is the amount of exercise that we need. However, not everyone can do 150 to 300 minutes of exercise per week at the beginning, at least. So we like to encourage people to start slowly. Even if you start with 10 minutes at a time every day, 10 minutes twice a day, it all adds up, and it helps you to move towards, being more competent, being more confident in the work that you're doing, and to gradually increase that endurance, your cardiovascular endurance, your physical strength. Even things like flexibility and mobility are important for your overall health. So in my degree, we didn't only do exercise for chronic diseases, but we also did exercise for healthy aging. We hear all the time that Barbados has an aging population, and we don't only want to live longer, but we also want to be healthy as we age. We want to be able to still do the things that we love to do, to be able to help ourselves, to be able to get around without needing too much assistance. Of course, there's nothing wrong with needing assistance, but I know that people would like to maintain their independence. So I decided to go into this because of our aging population, teaching people how to mitigate the changes that come with aging, especially since we don't really talk about aging a lot. We don't talk about the changes that happen in middle age. We hear about menopause, hot flashes, period stop. But we don't actually hear about physical changes such as the loss of muscle mass, the loss of the strength of our bones, the psychological changes such as, not feeling useful anymore, especially when you're going into retirement. You get this sense of loss, the sense of not having a usefulness anymore. And people actually tend to go into depression as well. So all of these things are things that we really need to talk about, and exercise is one of the ways that actually helps us go through these changes. While exercise is important, what is also important is how we eat. And we know that as a society, we love our starches, our ground provisions, we love our plantain, our potato salads. So what we do here is that we give you dietary advice, show you how necessarily not to restrict yourself too much, but how to change the proportions of what you're eating to a healthier proportion. So I know we're used to having 2 or 3 starches, some protein, and then a little garnish of salad. But we actually want to change that proportion to half a plate of non-starchy vegetables. So potato salad and plantain will not be your salads there. You have the non-starchy vegetables. Then in your starches is a quarter plate. That's where that plantain and potato salad would go. And then we have a quarter plate of protein. And that proportion is much better in terms of, being healthier, the right amount of energy for the day. It also improves things like your overall health, even things like asthma, allergies, eczema, things that we tend to have here a lot in Barbados are improved even when you change your diet like that. One of the biggest challenges that I've found is that people have an aversion to exercise. Many people have had poor exercise experiences either in their neighborhoods or at school, where they weren't able to enjoy PE as a subject. They remember the people running fast and leaving them behind. They remember being teased by other schoolmates. So they have a really bad connotation attached to exercise. And that's been a difficult thing to overcome. But what I try to do is I reassure the person that we're moving at their pace. We're moving specific to their needs. And at any point, if the exercise routine needs modification to suit how they're feeling at the time, that can easily be done. And we will always make sure that they're comfortable. So the single biggest challenge that I've found is that persons have a very negative connotation attached to exercise. And this stems from having bad experiences, mostly in childhood, from in their neighborhood or at school, where they might see persons being more athletic and leaving them behind, or being teased about their size by other children, or not feeling supported by their PE teachers. And so in order to combat that, I try to reassure the person that, we're here for them, we're starting where we are, you're getting individual attention. Even in the group classes, I tend to try to keep a small group number so that everyone can get the attention that they need and they can feel safe and supported in this environment. Exercise is one of the main, cheapest, easiest things that you can do to make sure that you have a healthy, long and productive life. Even something as little as 10 minutes a day, something is better than nothing. And it will be an investment in your future that you definitely will never regret.